Collins.
Mr Speaker, it is a privilege to rise in support of this bill, the Juries Age of Excusal Amendment Bill, which proposes a simple but meaningful change to increase the age at which New Zealanders may request automatic excusal from jury duty from 65 to 72. This is a targeted amendment to the Juries Act 1981, but one that carries wider implications for fairness, civic participation and the evolving demographics of our country. At present, any person aged 65 or over may ask to be excused from jury duty, either for that specific summons or permanently, and that request is automatically granted. This may have been appropriate several decades ago, but it no longer reflects the reality of life today. Kiwis are living longer, staying healthier, and continuing to contribute meaningfully to society well past the age of 65. In fact, I need no look further than my own mum. She's past that age, though I should add she certainly doesn't look it. And she's still working, still active, still capable, and still eager to contribute. The current law sends the wrong message, that once you turn 65, your civic responsibility ends, that there is no longer an expectation that you contribute to the judicial system or share the burden of justice with your fellow citizens. That's not the message that we should be sending. We also know that it has practical effects. With so many automatic excusals from age 65, courts must issue more summonses just to fill the jury pool. That is an inefficient use of our administrative resources. It is time, Mr Speaker, that we updated the law. The choice of 72 was not made lightly. A number of potential thresholds were considered, and I expect and encourage the Justice Committee to consider this question in depth. The age of 72 reflects a considered and balanced approach. In New Zealand, judges must retire at 70 under the Senior Courts Act 2016, but may serve further on limited-term contracts up to the age of 75. That acknowledges their continued capacity while still maintaining boundaries. Most relevant to the proposal in this bill is the retirement age of the Ombudsman, which is set at 72. That informs the drafting of the bill. It is an example of a public-facing role that values and places value on experience, maturity and sound judgment, qualities that are also vital in a jury. Internationally, though, there is a spectrum of age exemptions. In England and Wales, 76 is the upper limit for jury service, with those over 70 being able to seek excusal. In Scotland, people over the age of 71 may be excused upon request. In Australia, 5 states and territories allow those aged 70 or over to permit permanent excusal. I feel like I've got my nana or granddad opposite me at the moment trying to use their cell phone. Victoria, Queensland, South Australia, and the Northern Territory all allow those over the age of 70 to seek excusal on a permanent basis. Western Australia takes a stricter approach, Mr Speaker. Those over the age of 75 are simply ineligible. In the United States, some states, such as Hawaii, South Dakota and Maine, allow excusal from jury duty at the age of 80. So the age of 72 places us in the middle of a reasonable and global spectrum. It reinforces civic participation without placing undue expectation on our seniors, such as those who have just left the House. Let me be clear, Mr Speaker, this bill does not compel anyone over the age of 65 to serve. It simply lifts the age of automatic excusal, preserving the ability for any individual to still request an exemption if they have a valid reason. Mr Speaker, the proposal did not originate from an academic paper. It came from the front lines of our justice system. In October 2024, I visited the Auckland High Court with the Minister of Justice, the Honourable Paul Goldsmith. During that visit, Ministry of Justice staff raised the issue directly. The volume of excusals of those over the age of 65 was placing strain on registrars and making it harder to fill the jury benches. It is, Mr Speaker, a practical, sensible suggestion that they made, one that stuck with me and led directly to this bill. Mr Speaker, the bill makes a single targeted change, amending sections 15 and 15A of the Juries Act 1981 to lift the age at which the registrar must excuse a person on request from 65 to 72. Anyone aged 72 or older will still be able to request an excusal, either for that particular summons or on a permanent basis. The expected benefits, Mr Speaker, are twofold. Firstly, it broadens the pool of jurors. Including New Zealanders aged 65 to 72 adds valuable life experience, insight and maturity to our jury benches. Second, it reduces the strain on court administration. Around 47% of excusals are currently granted purely based on the age of the applicant. Even a modest reduction in that number would represent a meaningful improvement in court operations. It is a small but practical change, part of a broader effort to restore confidence in law and order in this country. As the Member of Parliament for Wanganui, including Wanganui, South Taranaki and Stratford, I regularly meet with constituents over the age of 65 who are still working, volunteering, running organisations and making an impact. Their contributions, Mr Speaker, are extraordinary. And this bill says to them, we see you, We value you and we trust you to play your part in one of the most important civic duties there is, and that is jury service. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the hard-working Justice Select Committee, who hopefully, following a vote in this House, will take this bill forward. I am confident, Mr. Speaker, that they will bring their usual rigour, insight and care to examining this piece of legislation. While other issues have also been raised with me regarding our jury system and jury duty, Mr. Speaker, and there have been a number through this process that constituents, that people who have heard about this bill since it was pulled from the biscuit tin, Mr. Speaker, have raised with me, this bill itself has a very narrow scope, simply reviewing the age of automatic excusal. It is a focused reform, and the committee's work will be vital in refining it further and, as I said, Mr. Speaker, exploring that exact age that would be appropriate in a New Zealand context today. Mr. Speaker, this is a simple change, a change that reflects the evolving realities of New Zealand society. It updates our laws to match our demographics. It honours the role that mature Kiwis still play, and it strengthens the fairness and representativeness of our jury system. I urge all members of this House to support the first reading of the Juries Age of Excusal Amendment Bill. Let us recognise the changing face of our nation. Let us share the responsibility of justice, and let us send a message that every generation, Mr. Speaker, including those over the age of 65, has a role to play in upholding the law. Mr. Speaker, I commend the Juries Age of Excusal Amendment Bill to the House.
It's actually interesting, that one, because neither of my grandparents ever got summoned for jury service in their whole time, and I know Grandma did say to me she would have been happily served on a jury until she was about 88.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm of the opinion that, you know, if you're old enough to vote, really jury service should be optional. I don't believe in forcing people into doing jury service. But then again, I'm a libertarian, so that's just my political stance on things. Is I don't like using force. I would prefer to have an option where people can say, yep, I'd like to opt into this and I'd like to be considered as part of a pool. But if people don't want to be a part of that, I would like to have that be an option as well, regardless of for whatever reason. I would like to see more freedoms around this.
Well, count yourself lucky. Where you live, you're less likely to get called up for a jury.
That is true, yes.
Yeah, because a lot of that is based on location. Like, I've been called up for jury service, but that's only when I've lived in Wellington. I never got called up for jury service when I was living in the Otaki electorate. My mum never got called up for jury service while living in the electorate, same with Dad, whereas my mum got called up for jury service when she was enrolled in what would have been the Porirua electorate back in the day, when she's still on the electoral roll, was living in Tawa, even though she had moved out of home. It's an interesting one of like, well, where do you draw that line? But I agree with the fact of like, you know, you've got to have a line, and sometimes, you know, automatic excusals does clog up paperwork because, you know, if as from what's been said there, 47% of automatic excusals were solely related around age, that means how many other people lower down the chain who potentially have full-time jobs and that sort of thing have to fill that gap.
Yeah. I'm a pensioner, Sam, but I'm still well capable of serving on a jury. I'd be happy to. I still work, of course, actively. And that point about the demographic, we're living in a country where we've got an ageing population. So the pool, when you look at it and you think of the people who can't serve on a jury by virtue of their jobs, i.e. police officers,
court staff,
police officers,
members of parliament,
court staff, all the people who can't serve, and we've got I guess the way I look at it is it's a great resource of people who are experienced in life itself and have probably been through all the trips and tribulations with families and everything like that. I think they bring a certain sort of wisdom and maturity to decisions. The trouble is, the older you get, the more people you know. And the last time seriously, the last time I went for jury service, I got called up and there was a young man on trial. Well, I knew the district court judge I knew his brother, and I'd prosecuted in the court of his father, and I got elected as the foreman of the jury.
Oh,
I said to
Oh,
the
jeez.
the court attendant, I said, I think you better go out and see the judge and tell him that I need to talk to him about a potential conflict of interest. And he said, look, he said, thank you very much for being upfront about it so that we've got a clean process. Some people could construe that as a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
The fact that you just that entire family from the judiciary. They're all
I mean,
some very famous names there, but I'm just saying, it's just but I'd be more than happy to do my duty, and I'm sure, and it is a duty, and you've got to maintain the integrity of the system. So I don't think New Zealanders.
If you're in the armed forces, can you be summoned for civil jury service if you're an active service person?
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure. Well, I don't think there's an exemption there for being unless you're away.
If you're overseas, that's a different story.
The practicalities of relocating from someone from halfway around the world would be just ridiculous.
Oh, I mean,
but if you're here, no, I don't think you're exempt as a member of the armed forces.
No, you're correct, Rob. You can be called up for jury service if you're serving in the military. Yes.
Yeah, because also you can be called up for military justice panels as well. But I don't know how often we do those in New Zealand.
A lot. We do court martials and all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
we do. Yeah. I don't know how many elect jury trial. It's, if I remember military justice pretty well, it was March the guilty bastard in. But military justice is quite different from swift, and it's usually pretty menial stuff. Anything more serious goes to the outside courts, usually the civil courts.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, News Guide, the Order Paper Podcast. YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, News Guide, the Order Paper Podcast.